Elon Musk on a talk was asked this year or last year, what encouragements would you give to an entrepreneur? And he said, if you need words of encouragement, don't become an entrepreneur. Right. That's gangster.
You don't need anybody, any certain person. You don't need superstars. You need a collective group of people going in the same direction. Mm-hmm. And that's a skill. You have to master your craft. Mm-hmm. Again, you can't ignore that sales is a craft.
Yes.
You have to master it.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Driven Not Given podcast. And boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. This is a gentleman who I followed. We have a lot of mutual friends. And then one time I heard that he's doing an event in his office. And I said, I got to go to this guy's event. I heard he was doing an event and a training. And I said, if I could be there in person, if I had to drive 5 hours to go to this dude's training, I would have gone. Luckily, it wasn't 5 hours. It was a 45-minute drive. So I went. I took my wife, and man, we were impressed. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not impressed with that many people. I've had the good fortune to see a lot of great speakers, a lot of great trainers, but this guy left me basically speechless, right? And what he's doing with his business and his sales organization is something that doesn't happen very often. So from my background, to have somebody like this guy and share his knowledge, I'm very excited. So with that being said, we've got the president, or the chief encouragement officer, as his title is with his company, Mr. Gerry Najarro. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing phenomenal, bro. You're too kind with that introduction, bro. Too kind, bro.
Thanks, bro. Hey, first of all, I love that title, the chief encouragement officer. How did that come about, bro?
Somebody just called me the chief encouragement officer one day, and they gave me a plaque that said, to put on your desk and stuff.
Nice.
I don't think anything of titles. Titles don't make men,
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
men's character make men. So
I love it.
But I took the chief encouragement officer one because I do like to encourage. I make a joke about it. I don't have much. I'm a high school dropout and stuff, so. On my resume, if I applied for a CEO position somewhere, they would only say, I'm an encourager.
Right.
So not much of a resume.
That's funny. It's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I see that some of the most successful entrepreneurs have, not all of them, but a lot of them, is that their resume in and of itself, right, before entrepreneurship isn't all that impressive. So they wouldn't get a high-paying job. At least I wouldn't.
No, neither would I.
You know what I mean? Like, if you see, I barely passed high school and whatnot, and so I wouldn't get a high-paying job. Luckily, entrepreneurship and capitalism, right?
Yeah, for sure. And not because education is not good, but putting people in a box. Formal education, I think, trains you a different way than just being a free thinker does.
Right.
So,
absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So we got so much to dive into in this interview here today, but one of the things I want to spend a couple minutes on is I'm curious.
But first, bro, I want to ask you, bro.
Yes.
I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it real with your listeners, bro, and I want to keep it real. Can I keep it real?
100%.
Okay, good.
Listen, man, don't hold back.
I always ask people for permission because,
Yes.
Unsolicited advice creates resentment. So
yes,
no. They're open for it.
Hey, nobody's twisting anybody's arm to listen to this podcast, bro.
No,
so, you know what I mean? And here's the thing. Who I want to attract to the podcast are good guests like you that have good content and that are real. No sugarcoating shit here.
No.
Okay? And the listeners that are getting attracted to this, they tend to not be the herd mentality people.
Sure.
They tend to be the free thinkers.
Sure.
And that's who we want it to be.
Yeah.
I don't care about a lot of views. I care about valuable content, and the views that are going to come with it, let them come. So that's my philosophy.
Awesome.
So let's start off in the beginning. Now, I'd like to know a little bit about what created the man that we've got here today, right? The chief encouragement officer of the Ivri Group. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how your upbringing was.
Man, I grew up all over the place. I think it's not very stellar. I mean, I think that, and I guess we can dive into that, close it off with that, because the truth is that's full circle, right?
Yeah.
I think I grew up in East LA. I grew up South Central East LA, different places. My father was an alcoholic when I was a kid, so we moved around a lot, which kind of forced me to make friends every new place we went.
Yeah.
And then grew up in Lincoln Heights, which is where I spent my teenage years. And man, pretty simple, pretty basic, broke kid, just wanting to be somebody.
Yeah.
But I think just like parenting, I think it's a thing about in business. You find out what you don't want to be as a parent.
Right.
And so same thing in business. You find out what you don't like about a boss or about an owner of a company. And you try to be the best you can when you have that shot.
Correct.
So, you implement different things like encouragement.
That's right.
And I tell my guys all the time, if you're Hispanic, your parents probably didn't take the encouragement class.
Right.
So,
right.
If you want to be a better parent, encourage. And if you want to be a better leader, then encourage people.
Yes.
And it's the hardest thing to do because it's easy to, tell people, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And it's much more difficult that person's already down. It's much more difficult to come back down to their level and pick them back up.
Right.
Much more difficult.
I agree. For me, growing up where I grew up in what is a hood, right? Probably not as hood as South Central, right? Or East LA, but never Linwood, Southgate.
Sure.
If I crossed the train tracks, I was in Watts.
Sure.
But the point is, that definitely creates for a lot of people, for good or bad,
Sure.
a certain level of grit.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure you had struggles growing up as a kid, right?
Sure.
And in life, we're going to have struggles. And so, do you remember any particular events or period as a kid that kind of shaped you to have that grit? Because what you've accomplished and when you're developing, which is even more important, because I believe that success is not success without successors. And you have successors. You're developing people, which is what we're going to get into, right? But as a kid, what are some things that may have happened in your, growing up that allowed you to do that?
Oh, God, it's a slew of things. Life is a continuum of experiences and learning opportunities. So to sit here and give you one, it'd be a disservice. But I will tell you one that I know for sure scarred me. I was raised. My mom and dad got divorced when I was about 8 years old, and so I was raised by a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in high school, she lost her job. She was a dental assistant. Got very ill. She had rheumatic fevers. And it led my sisters and I to start to begin to be responsible. So I had had a job right after high school. Then we would deliver the newspaper, the Investors Daily, which gave me an opportunity to see what investors read and to deliver it to really nice neighborhoods. But I couldn't do the job after school and do the delivery and then go to school the next day. So I opted for to work instead of going to school. Continuing high school, I dropped out.
Got it.
Knowing that my mom had given this company 20 years of her life and that they could let her go in a minute,
yep.
it just gave me the real world view of what corporate America was.
Yep.
And I think that instance really, really gave me the entrepreneur vision. Entrepreneurship for most people think, I believe that most people have this idea entrepreneurship comes from this, I have an idea, let's do this.
Right.
And it comes from this really happy place. And I think that what drives entrepreneurs is what they don't want to be, where they don't ever want to be again.
Right.
Who they want to save out of that
true.
rut. What people they want to get out of the ditch once they're out of the ditch.
Yep.
And that for sure drove me to entrepreneurship because I saw what corporate America did. I saw the impact it had when, a layoff is just a word to most people, but it determines somebody's lifestyle, their Christmas, their birthdays.
Right.
It determines everything. And so I take that very serious, man. Entrepreneurship for me is a responsibility.
I love it.
To my people,
I love it. I can certainly relate to that because for me, I saw my mom struggle in this country and whatnot. I was also raised by a single mom. And for me, I wanted to become an entrepreneur because I wanted to give my mom a better life. Now it's my mom and my children. I now have 2 kids. But I remember at 18 years old, I wrote down, retire my mom on or before the age of 30. And I was hell-bent on retiring my mom. And the only way that I was going to accomplish that is through entrepreneurship.
Sure.
Not through going out there and getting a job and working for somebody else. Because also, I paid attention to older people, and I realized, man, that family is devastated because they got laid off. And then the pandemic in 2020 taught us how unsustainable a job can be, man, and how it's so cutthroat, man. So this whole thing about job security that's an oxymoron. That's not true, man.
100%.
So I believe that anybody can be an entrepreneur. Will everybody be successful at it? No. Most people don't have the grit, the stomach for entrepreneurship. We were just talking about the shirt earlier. Yeah. How Elon Musk on a talk was asked this year or last year, what encouragements would you give to an entrepreneur? And he said, if you need words of encouragement, don't become an entrepreneur. Right. That's gangster. Right. Would you agree that that's true?
Yeah, I agree.
Man.
I mean, if you need it, you probably can't do it. But
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's like, and it's cool, right? But for the long haul of entrepreneurship, it's going to get tough. It's
Yeah.
not going to be easy. It's going to get ugly before it gets good, but it'll be worth it, right? If you have the right mentors, which is one of the things I want to talk to you about. Tell me, bro, about your transition into the quote unquote real world and into the entrepreneurial world, bro. How did you become, when you started officially working and getting into entrepreneurship, how did that happen?
So, I knew that I knew about the corporate America myth, right?
Right.
But obviously, you have to live in the world. You have to make money. You have to pay the bills. And so, I didn't know any other way at the moment. I ended up getting a job. I was 19, about to have my first daughter, and which is one of the loves of my life. And I went to one of these job agencies, right? And I got a job. They hooked me up with a warehouse job,
Right.
out in Glendale. They happened to be an engineering company, one of the arms for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
But I started in the warehouse, and I just started working really hard. About 6 months later, some guy notices me and says, "You work really hard." And I said, "Okay." And mind you, I'm 19. I got earrings. I've always had tattoos.
Yeah.
And, I'm just this punk kid, right? And he says, "I want to give you a shot in customer service." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "You know how to do that?" I said, "Of course I do." I didn't know what customer service was.
Right.
And, long story short, I was 10 years with that company. I became a national sales manager for Coca-Cola, for the manufacturing division. So I flew around the country, even some Mexico and Central America, to expand, talk to the bottlers. And, 10 years, but it never left me. I was always on guard. I made a 6-figure income, bought my first house at 24, but I was on guard all the time about, this isn't long-term for me. It's not long-term.
Right.
Something happens. Everybody has these age things, right? Like at 25, you start maturing. At 30, you rethink life. And so I was 29, from 19 to 29, 10 years there. It was like a sentence. I did 10 years, right, in corporate America. Yeah. And I started rethinking my life, and I transitioned to another place temporarily. Worked for the Kennedy family out in La Habra, and selling restaurant equipment. And I was kind of on their yacht all the time, schmoozing clients, and it's kind of cool. But you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
And so somebody recruited me, man. I ended up meeting a guy that used to work in customer service for me, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this insurance thing." I go, you're stupid. I can't believe you're doing that. They got you.
Right.
And he told me, and I said, that's funny. I'm a client. I do have that insurance, and I do believe in the products, and I'm a single dad, and I think that we should all protect ourselves with life insurance.
Yeah.
And he says, "Why don't you do it part-time, man?" He's super smart. They trained him well.
Right.
Because he was one of my guys that I trained, and so he said, "If I'm making an extra $500 a month, imagine what you could do." And I said, "You're right."
That's true.
And so he recruited me, and I had my first experience in entrepreneurship, being independent, and my first 2 years, man. I was showing the guys a video the other day. It's this funny video of this soccer player getting his face kicked in all the time. It's a funny video.
Oh, right.
And this guy's blocking the ball with his face, and he's bloody, and the ball keeps kicking him right in the face. And I said, that's what my first 2 years in sales looked like.
Right.
Like in actual sales. Being a national sales manager for a company isn't doing sales.
Right.
It's corporate America, and but going into entrepreneurship was tough, man. Sitting down at the kitchen table with people and actually explaining things to them, and getting them to say yes. Was the toughest thing.
That's a grind.
It's a grind, and but once you learn it, then it's magic.
Yes.
It's magic. I think salespeople, there's just something spiritual about doing sales, professional sales, where everyone from the manufacturer to the mailman, that delivers products and services, to the people that were behind the scenes, are blessed by the salesperson that creates that sale. So I strongly believe in sales. Sales is the opportunity. But yeah, it was tough the first 2 years.
Yeah.
I tell people that being in sales your first 2 years is like, the story of King Midas, right?
I think so.
Everything you used to touch turned to gold.
Turn to gold, right.
So in sales, it's quite the opposite. The first 2 years, everything you touch turns to shit.
Right.
It's like
that's true.
You're just gonna mess it up, man.
That's right.
And every lesson is such a learning lesson, though. If you're able to stomach it, pick up the pieces, say, okay, I won't do that again.
Yes.
And okay, got it, not going to do that again, or going to do this better next time, you get better.
You're an incredible salesperson, and you have a lot of incredible salespeople. And one of the things that impresses me about you is that you have a lot of incredible, not only salespeople, but leaders, entrepreneurs in your company, which we'll get into. But what's most impressive is that those people, a lot of those people, they never even thought of getting into entrepreneurship or sales. Yet right now they're like, confidence is through the roof. They're getting the results and whatnot, and that's impressive. Do you think, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'd love for you to know, for somebody out there that's watching this or listening to this and ask themselves, but I've never done sales. Sales is something that you're born with. What would you say to somebody like that?
Sales is a skill set.
Right.
And anybody can learn that skill set. Anybody can learn that skill set. Being a professional sales is a skill set. I think if more people understood that, they would get into sales with the right mentality instead of just going into sales blindly and getting hit in the face, and then quitting like most people do. If more sales leaders, sales managers, call it whatever you want, understood that as well, they'd equip their people with the sales mentality they need, asking quality questions, understanding that sales is learning somebody's needs and then meeting those needs with your product or service. Right. And something so basic as that, people pass on. So, salespeople get this raunchy kind of, nuance to them, right? Because they believe they should be pushy. That's an inexperienced salesperson. Right. Inexperienced salespeople push and talk too much, and they say all these things, and they try to sell something that the person doesn't even want. Right. Or doesn't fit their need. And when you're in professional sales, you just learn not to do that. Yes. Instead of being pushy, you become pulley, right? By asking quality questions. And so it's a skill set. You can teach anybody to do that, if they care enough. Right? Yes. Because you have to learn to care, and you have to learn to get people to see the big vision of the crusade, if what you're doing is right. And I believe in many crusades. I don't ever believe in downing people for what they're doing. There's different crusades, but you got to believe in what you're really doing. Yep.
No, that makes complete sense, and I think that's a very important message to get across. That a lot of people think, oh, you're born a salesperson. No, you're not. I know that I wasn't a salesperson by any means. I got into sales at 18. I couldn't get a job, but somebody hired me to do, door-to-door sales. They said, we'll pay you, because I didn't have a social security number at 18. So I couldn't legally get a job.
Where are your parents from?
Mexico.
Oh, you're Mexican.
I was born in Mexico. And so what happens is that they say, you could come, sell door-to-door, and, we'll show you how to do it. And I said, well, shit, let's do it. And I started selling door-to-door, got my teeth kicked in, so to speak. Right. I experienced racism. There was certain places we would knock, and I realized, shit, there are racist people here in California. Yeah. But I also met a lot of really cool people, and it helped build that callus. And so, yes, in the beginning, but it's a skill it's one of the highest paid skills in the world.
It is the highest paid.
It is the highest paid skill in the world, and anybody can develop it, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And you could write, the rubber doesn't meet the road until a sale is made. Sure. All of the people that have employees, if you look at most companies, and you touched on this, they wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for somebody making the sale.
That's correct.
So it's like I take full ownership of being a sales professional.
Same here. I love being in sales.
Yep.
And I love that it has a bad connotation to it, but we're gonna keep doing our thing until people understand that sales is a real profession.
That's right. So when you got into the life insurance sales, it was tough in the beginning.
Super.
How many years were you doing the life insurance sales, and how did you end up doing with that company?
I ended up doing okay. I mean, I became a vice president, which is a contract that they have, so you can branch out and get your own office. I did okay. I could have done a lot better, but there was a couple different, just a lot of things to learn. I started in one office, had some personal issues because of the people that recruited me, and they used to work for me before. And so some conflict there, and I just decided to move after a year and a half, 2 years. So I kind of restarted another office, and wow. And since we're going to touch on mentorship, I started with a mentor there. Not a perfect mentor, doesn't exist anyway, right? Yeah. But this guy had some serious issues, and so it stunted my growth a little bit at the beginning. But I did okay. I did okay.
Yeah, sure.
with all the facts out there, and then how difficult it is. You know, nobody wants to talk about life insurance, man.
Right,
You can talk about anything, but don't talk about life insurance at the family barbecue. At the
Right,
family
right.
carne asada. Nobody wants to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
And you know, so yeah, but I did okay.
Well, I think you're being modest by saying you did okay, but that's cool. I kind of expect that.
Yeah.
Tell me about the inspiration for your unique business model, and tell me, for the people that don't know, I'm familiar. You have now a real estate company.
Correct.
But you guys do things a lot different. And you guys do things in a way that I not only like a lot, but I respect what you're doing, because your business model shows people how to have a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Correct.
Because I used to be a real estate agent. I love the real estate industry. I think it's great, selling the American dream and all that stuff. But there's a saying about realtors: they don't ever retire; they just die one day, right? They're just selling real estate, and they can make great money. But the retirement aspect, the passive income, right? Or that retirement income doesn't really exist unless they're smart with their money and they start buying investment properties and whatnot. But you have a built-in model with your company that's very unique. And when I say unique, I say that in a very positive way. So tell me about the inspiration for that and how your business model works.
So I'm sure that your listeners are the kind of listeners that know who Robert Kiyosaki is, right?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
But how many more times do we need to see the cash flow quadrant before we understand the quadrants, right? Employees have no control of their time. Self-employed people are limited to their time because the business depends on them, and that's where people get caught between being self-employed and building a business that actually works for them instead of them working for their business. You know, self-employed people are confused all the time. If they have to be there, I think between Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow quadrant and Michael Gerber and the E-Myth, we should really by now understand that there's only one way to do this, and it's to systemize things.
Right.
And I believe that when you build systems, they relieve systemic issues from any industry. Systems relieve systemic issues from any industry. And the systemic issues in real estate are the way that they do business, the short-lived life of a realtor, the fact that they're a dime a dozen, the fact that there's no systematic way. I saw real estate from an outside point of view, right? I'm a new guy, and people criticize me like, you don't know shit about real estate. How are you going to get into real estate? I'm a businessman.
That's right.
And the truth is that I saw it from the outside, same brand company. One is 1 mile here, the other is 1 mile down the street, and same brand name, and they don't do things the same way.
Right.
It's the only franchise business that I've seen that doesn't operate like franchise.
That's true.
And it's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because that's their own fault and their own systemic issue that they've built into their companies.
Yep.
And not to say my company's perfect or that we have perfect people, but it's a systematic way to do business and to alleviate some of the things and the errors. The second thing is to build leverage, right? To allow somebody in sales to to build a business system where they can now have the same leverage a broker does,
right?
Without having to be a broker, and be able to expand and keep doing the same thing. I mean, we haven't invented anything. As a matter of fact, I think what we've done is taken it back to what leverage means, to what owning a business means, versus just being self-employed.
Right. Yeah, because you guys have a model where somebody could get started with your company, and it's an equal opportunity for everybody, right?
100%.
Everybody starts the same.
Yeah.
They start a certain commission, but then they could start making sales. If they want to build a team, they could build a team. Eventually, they can get promoted and have an office and override the team as well.
That's correct.
And that's beautiful, because I know real estate agents, and listen, they're happy selling real estate, and they've been doing it for a long time. Hey, kudos for them, right? Like, sure. My solar business model, it has a similar model. Everybody makes the same. They could choose to build a team if they want to. They don't have to. But if they do, they could override that team. So guess what happens? They could go out there on vacation to Hawaii with their family and get paid that override income, which is something that traditional sales don't offer. It's it's transactional.
That's correct.
COVID, another thing it taught us is, what if, like, for example, December of last year, 2020, I got COVID. My life wasn't in danger, thank God. I'm a pretty healthy guy, but I was out for 2 weeks nonetheless. Sure. I made money during those 2 weeks because of that passive income, because my whole team wasn't sick. They were working. I was getting paid. And so I think right now entrepreneurship and leverage income is such a key thing, because sometimes I've seen people, they got COVID, they're out for a month. I mean, a lot of people, they got laid off, like, hey man, boom, you're done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's always been a good thing.
Of course.
Because you're talking about something on a macro scale, but on a micro scale, shit is going on daily. People
Yes.
get sick, people die, people
Right.
get into car accidents. So on a macro scale, what if a pandemic happens? But on a micro scale, shit, what if you get laid off? I mean,
Right.
just the simple stuff. Protect
Yes.
yourself. And we hear in sales, we have all these cheesy lines, right? I'm 46 and now you meme it all. But
Yeah.
before memes, you just said things, right? You say
Right.
things like, everybody carries a spare tire, but you don't have anything extra on the side in case you lose your job.
Right.
And for me, creating a part-time real estate opportunity was key, because people think you can't do real estate part-time. Well, the way that other companies have built their organizations, they don't have a support built in so people can do it part-time. But when you start with the part-time idea and you build a support team and a support system that somebody part-time can do it in, it's built for that.
Right.
I have people getting their $50,000 watch, which is, we give to them, it's a nice Movado custom-made watch, when they cross over 50,000 in 6 months.
Nice.
Part-time. I have part-timers getting their watch right now.
That's awesome.
And you can do that. You really can if you set the system up right, which I believe we have.
No, I see, and I know a lot of the people that work for your company, and it's impressive, because when I went to the meeting, I saw some of the testimonials, and there was like a single mom that goes up on stage and she mentions that she had a traditional job, and now she, that particular month she made like, I don't know, some crazy $25,000-$30,000 part-time, and she had never done sales before. And part of the thing is too, the systems for leadership development that you have in place.
Yeah.
I come from the network marketing background, so there's a lot of similarities the way that you do things, because there's good things and bad things about every business model.
Sure.
One of the good things about network marketing, and I'm not saying that your company's network marketing, but I'm saying some of the similarities, is that you have a built-in people development system. Their confidence, their sales skills, their entrepreneurship skills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they could plug into their system. If they want to build a team, they could plug them into the system, and eventually they do this long enough, they get good enough, eventually they could override an office, and everybody in their organization has the same opportunity that they do.
That's correct.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, if I was a real estate broker and I got a guy on my team, he doesn't have the same opportunity override that. He'll never make what I make on a deal. Right? Same thing. That's why I do what I do. In my solar company, everybody gets paid the same. Everybody has the same comp plan. I tell people all the time, there's no picture at the corporate office that says do not pay this person.
Right.
If you do the work, you're gonna get paid. If you build a team, you're gonna get paid. If you do the requirements, in your case, they're gonna get their office. And so that's one of the things that I like it. Was it purpose for you? Was it done on purpose for you? Because I noticed that you attract a lot of people that are new to the industry. Was that done on purpose, bro?
Yeah. I don't necessarily like to bring on board realtors, and no offense,
Right.
but if you take offense, then that's personal. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't take realtors because they've already adopted these bad philosophies, right? They only think about their commission rate versus the value that they're getting instead of that commission rate.
Yes.
So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. As brokers offer more and more commission to them, they go, well, I pay you 90%, I'm gonna pay you 100%, but they give them no value. And
Right.
what they don't understand is that, if you're getting 100% of nothing, that's nothing. So, I believe that what you have to offer people is value. You have to offer them some support and the leadership. I have a concept called building people first, and the building people first concept is, coming up in sales, right? First at Coca-Cola, at the engineering side, and then in the insurance business, I found that most people love to have great clients, but they piss on their salespeople.
Right.
And you can't do that. And I believe that if you treat your salespeople like kings and queens, and if you raise them up, they'll find the great clients.
Yes.
And you'll have the army. They'll build the business. So my concept of building people first, I saw it happen in manufacturing. I did it myself as we extended distributorship across the U.S. It had great results. I experienced it in the insurance business. And, when I say that I did okay, but it taught me so much about how to encourage people, how to train people, how to really manage a team and get, and I believe in our kind of businesses where recruiting is the model. whether you call it network marketing or not, is that you don't need anybody, any certain person. You don't need superstars. You need a collective group of people going in the same direction. And that's a skill. To be able to get somebody, cast the vision and get them to see the vision. I tell them all the time, when we're in a group meeting, I say, all right, everybody say, do it with me. And so everybody says, do it with me, because that's what your big skill is,
That's
to
right.
get other people to do it with you.
Yep.
So there is a big difference in what we do versus other people. Real estate agents, they live for that big commission check, and they don't understand that if they put enough people in the game, then eventually, Rockefeller said it,
Yeah.
he'd like to make 1% out of 100 men's income versus 100% of his own.
That's right.
And that's leverage.
That's leverage. One of my favorite words, man, leverage. Like, I wouldn't do anything that doesn't have leverage income as far as money-making activities.
Sure.
It has to have leverage income. If not, doesn't make sense,
Agreed.
I have a credit repair company. We get affiliates, right? A bunch of affiliates. That's leverage income. You know what I mean? Solar business, same thing. You do the same thing. You offer your people the same thing. That's the thing. I'm very attracted. I've always been attracted to the model where, let's say, for example, Jay brought me on board to the company, but I could still make more money than Jay,
Sure.
even though he brought me and he came
100%.
first. And that's the opportunity you offer. That's the opportunity I
100%,
offer,
yeah.
right? So, like, for example, just this morning, Jay heard me, chatting with some guys from a traditional dealer, and they're a little intimidated, not a little, a lot intimidated by our business model. I say, here's the thing: I don't lose sleep thinking about your company. Your people are never going to make what you make. Everybody that I bring on board, they make what I make day one. They can make more money than I. Their override income could get bigger. Their personal checks get bigger. Their stock options could get bigger. And so we have an equal opportunity. And I respect that, because it isn't a good old boys club. Like, somebody can't go join your company and say, hey, Gerry, we went to high school together.
Oh, bro.
And because of that, bro,
Yeah.
I start at the top, right? No, you start just like everybody else. And see, I respect that.
Yeah.
The politics aren't there.
Yeah, and I've seen that so much.
I know.
And when people don't understand corporate America, they don't appreciate our type of business.
Right.
I tell people all the time, if you think you have a good job, then you just haven't gotten your ass kicked enough to understand what I'm offering.
Yes.
And yeah, politics, the good old boy club, and it's just, I don't golf as it is. I mean, I'm not in that club. You're a golfer.
No.
No, you're not a golfer. All right.
I plan on doing it one day, but just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, I don't have the luxury of that kind of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I tell people all the time, what company are you going to go at where you can make more money than the CEO? I'm telling you that now.
That's true.
Now you have to outwork me, which I don't know if you're going to do that.
Right.
But you can,
Yes.
because I'm still very actively working and recruiting and building, and we're expanding offices right now into different states as we speak.
Wow,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. What advice would you give a struggling salesperson or a struggling realtor, somebody in your particular industry? They're not making enough sales. What advice would you give that person?
I think it's kind of a 1-2 punch. You have to master your craft. Again, you can't ignore that sales is a craft.
Yes.
You have to master it. You can't just make the same phone calls the same way. I tell people I'm a nerd about the business. I'm a nerd about my business. I've always, stood in front of a mirror and kind of seen myself and looked at myself and heard myself speak and said, man, I need more enthusiasm in this thing. Heard my tonality and said, damn, did I sound that bad? Like, just becoming a real crafty about that. And but the second thing is not to ignore your mindset, because I believe in mindset over skill set.
Right.
Mindset wins 100% of the time. Master your craft, but understand that if you don't have the right mindset to back it up, it doesn't matter what you know.
That's right.
And the only thing that's going to wake you up in the mornings and keep you going is the kind of mindset that you have. So, focus on that mindset. Focus on having the right routine. Morning routines are everything to me. We do something called the 4 pillars in our company, where everyone, family, faith, family, fitness, and finance, where you do those things when you wake up. Because if you master your day, if you master your morning, you'll master your day.
Nice.
And if you master that day, you'll master your weeks and your months and so on.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's true. Tell me about your morning routine. What is a typical morning routine for you?
It's complicated. No, warm water with lemon, my supplements, and immediately into prayer, man. For me,
Nice.
Going into prayer, being in silence, getting into gratitude is everything. If you ever hashtag the Grateful Company, that's our company.
Nice.
We do this gratitude session every Saturday when we're together. And, I've dreamt of the day when thousands of offices across the country are doing a grateful session on a Saturday morning. I believe gratitude opens the door for every positive thing in your life. And it breaks every negative aspect that you could be going through. You try to be angry and grateful at the same time.
It's tough. You can't. Nope.
So gratitude is everything for me. And then obviously doing something for your faith pillar, your family pillar, doing something where you're intentional about your expressing love to somebody you care for, in your family.
Yes.
I think love reciprocates, so the minute you show someone love where you haven't talked to them in a while or you're not, it's not normal, but you start beginning to do it, they'll do it back. And fitness is important. I'm 46. I'm not in the best shape of my life, but man, I challenge anybody to a good run or anything at my age. You've got to take care of that.
Yes.
Because, you can't, the mind is powerful, but if the body drags it down, you have to focus on it. And not talking about anything major, just a 15-minute run, just to wash the brain out with some endorphins.
Yes.
And then finance. People complain about money 90% of their life, and they don't master it ever.
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot to master it. We have YouTube. When I was younger, if you wanted the knowledge, you had to go out and get the book and find the magazine or whatever it was. And today it's at your fingertips.
That's right.
Personal finance is 101. Learn something today about taxes, or learn something today about investments. Learn something today about buying a home, what a down payment is and why. So simple, but for me, those 4 pillars are everything in the morning. Again, taking supplements is key.
Yes.
Drinking the right kind of water for me is super key.
I drink only alkaline water, man.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, when it comes to taking care of yourself, health is wealth, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things people ask me all the time, JC, because I work hard and they know I go bell to bell, right? Like sometimes I wake up yesterday, I couldn't sleep. It was 3:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I'm like, well, shit, if I can't get any sleep and I'm going to just be up, I might as well be productive, so let's hit the gym. So by 4:15, 4:30, I was at the gym.
Sure.
And now, don't get me wrong, I don't hit the gym at that time every time.
Correct.
Definitely not. But 4 or 5 days a week, I go to the gym, 6, 7 a.m. But going to the gym, alkaline water, chiropractor, I'm a big fan of. I think everybody needs a chiropractor because, it's people that suffer migraines. When you get educated by a good chiropractor and you realize, holy crap, everybody needs chiropractic work, right? And then, of course, the right supplements. And that's the kind of stuff that I heard a long time ago, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I heard this in my 30s. It says, young people will sacrifice their health for money. Then when they get older, they give up the money for health. I say, shit, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I'm going to take care of business, right. and I could go 10, 12 hours hard per day.
Yeah.
And I wake up the next day with great energy. Sure. Why? Because I do these other things that you're mentioning, right? The drinking the right water and plenty of water. Not only the right water, but also plenty of water. The working out, the supplements and all that stuff. And I see a lot of people, it's hard to have that balance, right? I see a lot of people, they're very busy, they're very driven, but they're letting their health go big time.
That's correct.
And the thing is, man, that people bury themselves with their teeth. Mm-hmm. Right? Meaning the shit that they eat.
Correct.
Then before you know it, when they're in their 50s and 60s, man, they're popping all these pills, which I'm not a fan of anything like that, bro. Like, I don't take no traditional medicine. No. That I'm so against that, and without getting too controversial, anyways, I'll leave that topic because, and I know that you feel the same way about a lot of things that I feel. But yes, those are the things that, I'm 38 years old now. I plan on hitting my prime in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it could absolutely be done, and I see it. Sometimes you see these guys that are in their 60s and they're freaking jacked and stuff, and great health and energy. Yeah. It's like, I want to be that guy, right? 100%. But it's about getting the right information. Maybe somebody listens to this here, listens to you saying this. They say, hey man, I'm going to get my act together on this particular area. Yeah. And then what happens is that disciplines lead to a flock of their relatives, just like errors in judgment. Errors in judgment lead to a flock of their relatives as well. We know the saying, how you do anything is how you do everything.
That's correct.
And so, but yeah, that's one of the things that is key. So, Gerry, you're a super interesting dude for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons that we were talking about before the podcast started was, and you said, hey man, if you're cool with talking about that, bro, and I told you, bro, I'm super cool with talking about it because it's one of my favorite subjects that needs to be known. we live in a crazy ass world right now.
Crazy times we're in, man.
In my opinion, bro, it looks more so than ever before like we're on the way to like socialism. They're offering people all kinds of free shit. And think about it, man. Offering people a bunch of free shit is a very easy sell. Most people are like, yeah, you want to give me some free shit? Give me some free shit.
Yeah, because they don't know the exchange. Nothing is free.
Right.
You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson said that there's always an exchange for something. So the word free doesn't exist.
Right.
There's an exchange for energy. There's an exchange for your dignity.
Right.
There's an exchange for something.
For freedom.
For freedom. Yeah.
You've had a lot of mentors. Very, I don't know if I should use a term that you use. I'll let you use it if you want. But very people that know more than the common folk like myself. Where do you see us going as a society, bro, with, you know, the way things are going, politics, the stuff that they're pushing and all that stuff? You know, like I said, it looks to me like, and you said something about somebody from Australia. If you could touch on that story and that little subject there, how the Australian guy said about America.
Yeah. You know, to say that this is where we're going is always so, it's full of jeopardy, because we could be going in a certain direction, but we as people have choices, you know, and I believe that, especially the people of the United States, we have a great spirit, you know, and obviously I'm new here, my family's new here, I'm first generation here,
Yeah.
But my mother and father are from El Salvador, and they said, hey, son, in those countries, you don't have opportunity. Love this country. Love on your country, because this is your country. And it's full of opportunity for people like us to come here and do something great. So they raised a patriot, you know. And so I believe in the spirit of the people, the spirit of society, the spirit of mankind. So to say that we're going in a certain direction, we can change that at any time. It's just a matter of decision. It's a matter of awareness. It's a matter of making a decision as a people, right? But I was watching this interview. This guy from these people from Australia are having a tough. Again, we're not getting too much into it. You know, the people that are not watching the news, that are being fed biased, you know, information. If you just unplug from that, you'll feel healthier. You'll understand that there's no fear. There's no propaganda for all the great things going on right now. There's some great things going on a micro scale. There was healthy babies being born. There was people that made their first six figures. There was people today that got married. I mean, there's so many good things going on, but when you focus on the bad, then that becomes your focal point.
Yes.
But, you know, I was watching this interview, and these people from Brazil, Australia, these countries that have already gotten overrun, which we don't hear about, Venezuela, what's going on out there. And again, when I was in the hood and I was a kid, I would believe that on the macro scale, these things didn't affect me. And I think that's what's happening now.
Yes.
That those things that are on a macro scale are beginning to come into play on the micro scale into the U.S. So now it really truly matters. What we say matters, what we do matters, our yeses, our nos matter. And this guy was saying, you know, he was interviewing him. He said, well, you know, they've taken your gold, they've taken your guns, they've diminished your currency. What would you say to the people of the U.S.? And he said, you know, I would tell them not to forget that they're the leaders of the free world.
Wow.
And that struck me so hard, because, you know, most people go around hearing things like that and they don't ever take the responsibility for that. I do.
Yes.
And I'm an American. I'm a patriot. I have a choice. I have a decision. God has blessed me with a platform to, like yourself, you know, to have this platform to let people know that we need to wake up. This isn't some conspiracy theory.
Right.
You know, there's two parties going at war at all times. And one of them wants complete dominion of the people, and the other one says free the people.
Yep.
And I mean, this is biblical.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, it's from way back. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, this crazy book that's been around for 2,000 years, right?
Exactly.
People don't read. But with that being said, you know, we are the leaders of the free world, and we have choices to make. You know, entrepreneurship is what's going to keep this country alive. It's the leadership, the fight for our freedoms. You know, not to lay down, and not to exchange free for freedom.
That's right.
And you know, we need to stay strong. And I think that if enough of us keep waking up and waking up others, you know, I think we'll see this thing through.
Yeah,
I believe that the spirit of the people is too strong. And I'm one of those people that, you know, I'll bleed on my flag to keep it red. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, from your mouth to God's ears, man, because what is happening is biblical. Without getting into, you know, that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a God-fearing man. I believe in the Bible. And but anyways, one of the things that I see, have you ever seen a documentary called Agenda 2 Masters of Deceit? It's on Amazon Prime.
I have not.
So basically in this documentary,
I try not to watch any of those things because they're still biased. And so
well, you know what?
Very like,
They are though, but it's good to see both sides.
Sure.
But one of the things that was an eye opener there, and that I verified later, there is a lot of socialists that have many years ago infiltrated the school system.
Sure.
That's why you see a lot of these guys and girls that are graduating. They come out of university, first of all, with a bunch of debt, and in most cases a degree that they're not going to be able to use. So now they got $200,000 in debt.
well,
and you know,
we have to understand what socialism is. Socialism is a defense mechanism for the wealthy to stay wealthy.
right?
So, I mean, the Rockefellers, I named my son Avery because after the last Rockefeller, Avery Rockefeller, but I admire that family for what they did and what they became, but at some point now they had these ideals of, they're the ones that solidified the school system, right?
Right.
And at that time, it was necessary for people to be trained a certain way through the school system to make better employees.
Yes.
And that time deemed for that.
Right.
But it wasn't supposed to be for the masses. It was supposed to be for a certain kind of people, and then everybody just adopted it and forgot about entrepreneurship.
Right.
100 years ago, this country was filled with 90% business owners and 10% employees, and that has switched completely.
Yes.
So, I do believe that socialism has always been around. It's just been through different constructs and different defense mechanisms for wealthy to stay wealthy and in power. And I'm not for or against people making their money, but I am against anything that keeps other people down.
Yep. Because one of the things that happens is that, people graduate, right? I'm not, and I'll be blunt about it. I'm personally, if my sons want to go to a university, I would say go to a university to make the contacts, to meet people, to learn some stuff, but don't go to learn to be wealthy, and know that the day and age that we live in, that degree, you're probably not going to use it. So you're going to get in a bunch of debt for a degree that's not going to really help you make any money 90% of the time or more.
Go be a manager at Starbucks.
Right? Go be a manager at Starbucks. There's people with master's degrees that are managers at Starbucks, bro. You could have been a manager at Starbucks, working your way up and stuff, and not getting all that done. You could have done it faster. Right. So I'm not a fan of that. But not only that, here's what happens when they graduate. You know what they think? They think that capitalism is bad.
Correct.
Ain't that the most outrageous thing you've ever heard? So what is the alternative if capitalism is bad? If common folks like myself, like you, can bust our ass, gather some money, take the risk, fail, but eventually employ other people because we succeeded. And you watching this or listening to this has the same opportunity. So if they take that away, then what does that mean? This is a genuine question that I'm asking you. If we go in the direction that a certain political party is pushing, especially, what is the alternative? That government creates all the opportunities for people? And are those opportunities better than what we can create for ourselves?
Well, then the word opportunity would cease to exist. It would be government dealing directly from the masses and gaining from the masses.
Isn't that what's happening in Venezuela?
In all those countries we talked about.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
And this is, part of all the big machine. That's what Amazon is. Amazon's a great retailer for government now. And, eventually, I think it's what, Elon Musk's company is going to be the provider of all cars for all people. And in a very general sense, it just becomes this, very controlled society. I have too much hope in people that we're going to allow that to happen, to go that far. But I think that that's the fight, man. That's the fight. And you're a fighter. Yep. You can't go into a fight not expecting a fight. This is a fight. When we wake up in the morning, I think it's one of the greatest things that as entrepreneurs we have to know. You have to wake up understanding that you're in a fight. If you've got to wake up in the morning understanding it's a fight against your economy, against your health, against your mindset, and you have to wake up ready for that fight. So, let's bring it, Yep. Socialism is trying to come in. Entrepreneurship is fighting back. And I think, make the best man win.
Mm-hmm. And that's precisely why I bring up this topic. A lot of people are afraid to bring up this topic because a lot of people don't have that fighter spirit. Yeah. I have that fighter spirit, man. Yeah. If I lose listeners because of it, hey, so be it. Yeah. But what if we wake one person up
100%.
That wakes up 100 people?
100%.
And so that's why I think these subjects need to be talked about and entrepreneurship solves a lot of these problems, man.
Sure.
Entrepreneurship and we live in a country where you can go out there and start that business and have your own leadership and your own systems in place and learn and apply and whatnot. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm at a point where I think I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-week-old. They're not going to have the same America.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. And I said, they're not going to have the same America that we've got right now, the way things are going, man. And but the thing is, indoctrination is a very real thing, bro.
That's correct.
People are getting indoctrinated. And then, there's people, from China, for example.
But believe it or not, I think it's a good thing, man, because that we're waking up to this. And,
right.
I think for too long, we've given schools that responsibility. We've given churches that responsibility. That responsibility falls on us parents, man.
Yes, true.
And I'm not going to say I'm a perfect parent. My kids watch this, they're going to say I'm not a perfect parent. But man, I've worked so hard on becoming a better parent all the time.
Yes.
Year upon year, I'm graduating to a new parenthood.
Right.
Even in sales and in business, man. As a man, I've made so many mistakes in my life, bro. Both on business and personal.
Sure.
And every year I'm getting better. And every year I'm learning from my own mistakes. But yeah, I think it's about time that responsibility falls back on us. We've allowed the news, the movie stars, the rock stars to indoctrinate our children.
That's right.
We've been too laid back about it. Well, I'm no longer laid back about it. I have serious conversations with my kids. We have serious family meetings, and we talk about what's real and what's not real.
That's right.
So it's time to take that back.
Yep.
We went into an era when I think people allowed that. I'm one of those latchkey kids. So my mother didn't know any better, but I was being raised by TV.
Right.
I was being raised by what I saw. And, it's time for us to wake up from that.
That's right.
And cool. Now we know that people are being indoctrinated. There's no lack of information, just misinformation now, an outpour of misinformation.
Yep.
So it's our responsibility for this next generation, guys like us to be awake and to wake them up.
I agree, man. And I take that very, very serious. You know what I mean? Like Maximus, my son, he's 7. He watches about an hour a day of TV. But other than that, it's play with your toys, your imagination. You got jujitsu. And some people come to my house and they're so surprised how they see him. He'll play for hours, bro, with his toys,
100%.
with his Legos, and put them together and whatnot. Play outside with his bike.
That's what I did, man.
Yeah. Yep. And then I talk to him about these things, about what's real and what's not, right? And so, because...
You know what's funny? Just on a side note, I catch myself now being the old guy. Like I always start saying that. Yeah, that's how I played with my toys. I sound like the old guy.
Right.
But it's so crazy to have such a different era today, and being in my 46 years of age, going from playing with toys and Legos and stuff like that to now people can't keep a baby quiet at a table at a restaurant if they're not watching this phone.
Yes.
And
that's not us.
Amazing
right?
to see that, because none of my kids were raised that way.
No, my son doesn't have an iPad. Proudly, he plays video games every 3 days for an hour, and he knows. And let's say I say, hey man, we're gonna make an exception today, and he plays. No, it hasn't been 3 days. Too much TV is bad. I don't want to play games, and he loves them. When he plays them, he enjoys it.
Sure.
But to me, it's like an iPad is not going to raise my kid. We're going to go outside. We're going to play. You're going to fall, scrape your knee from time to time. And then you're going to get up and I'm going to say, hey, here's why that's good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, man. And you're going to get dirty. You're going to get your hands dirty. And we're going to train in the garage. Yeah. You might get bit by some mosquitoes, right? You know what I mean? And it's cool. Let's go out there. Because, people very often talk about leaving a better planet for our kids, which I completely agree. But how about leaving better kids for the planet too?
100%.
Right? So that's my philosophy. Is like,
100%.
That's also why I'm in the renewable energy industry. I believe in global warming, and I believe in a lot of these things that are happening. And so yes, okay, let's leave a better planet. But also, how about we put leaders in place with confidence that treat others well? Talk about, I follow your podcast, man. You have a podcast. And so I love the platinum rule, bro. Tell me about the platinum rule.
The platinum rule, that's funny. All of us are, I heard about the golden rule. I'm Hispanic, bro. Nobody talked about the golden rule.
Right.
So as I went into corporate America, they started giving me their philosophies, and one of them was, the golden rule, man. You got to treat others the way you want to be treated. And as I did that, I have a certain sense of humor. I'm kind of weird with my sense of humor. I have a very direct way of saying things.
Yes.
And as I treated others the way I would want to be treated, I realized that not everybody thought like me. So I think that's a whole falsehood, So I started moving things onto the platinum rule. The platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, because people come from a different background. They come from a different understanding and different biases. So, I think that you can make better relationships. You can learn a lot more about people and give them that trust if you treat them the way they want to be treated. And
Makes
it takes
sense.
a little more time to understand them and learn that. But I think it's the only way to go, man. Treating others the way you want to be treated can leave you with less friends.
You know what? That's true though, because I'm the kind of guy that I like be straight up with me, tough love type of deal.
Sure.
But not everybody is like that. So if I treat people the way that I want to be treated, I'm going to turn them off, turn them away,
100%.
right? So it's
100%.
like, you know, in leadership, it's about being a chameleon, right? You got some guys that are going to get motivated by goals and being direct. That's the type of person I am. Seems to be the type of person you are. But other people, you know, you got to have more compassion for them. And you could get the same message across, but it's the platinum rule. And when I heard you on that podcast saying that, I was like, I love that. The platinum rule. I never heard that before, and it's real cool.
You just don't know what season you're catching people in. So
Right.
You have to be empathetic to that.
That's right.
Not sympathetic, but empathetic.
Empathetic.
Yeah.
How important, bro, is having the right mentor for success?
I think it's super key, man. I'm sure you heard that on one of my podcasts as well. But I one of my old mentors used to speak Italian, so he used to go around saying Italian phrases all the time. He used to say "Tutto bisogno di un consigliere," and I used to say, "What does that mean, man? What does that mean?" Everybody needs of counsel, and I believe that mentorship is super important. Now, you know, I know that some people, like I consider Jim Rohn a mentor for a long time.
Right.
You know, I love Jim Rohn. I think, you know, himself saying that he mastered the obvious was so funny to me the first time I heard it.
Yes.
And when I tell people that, I go, he said he mastered the obvious.
Yes,
and
yes,
then people,
yes.
when people don't laugh about it, I go, you don't get it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
You're going to get it later, though.
Right.
And he mastered the obvious. And for me, I felt like he was a mentor. I got to see him live before he passed.
Oh, wow, nice.
Which is an amazing experience. But true mentorship comes from someone that understands you. And I believe that you can have some mentors from afar, but you've got to have some mentor that's up close and personal to you.
Yes.
They have to be involved in your business and your business only. Because, you know, today we're in the era of these podcasts, which I don't mind. Again, I told you earlier, this is the first of its kind I've ever done in my life because
Right.
I respect you. And
Thank you, man.
And, you know, I love what you said, that, you know, something could impact somebody, and I'm all for that.
Yep.
But I've never spoken outside this because I don't believe in the weekend seminars. I don't believe in a lot of things that people, these gurus, so-called gurus do. Because it's temporary. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a specific need in their business. And I tell people all the time, listen to somebody that's in your business. Listen, because it's a very specific recipe.
Yes.
You know, and so there's nuances in every single, you know, person. Your solar business, I could go and do a talk, but the truth is I'm not going to talk about the nuances that your guys have. Our guys don't do any door knocking. Your guys do?
A little bit.
Okay.
Some.
We're all warm markets. So
Yes.
the small nuances make a huge difference. And to go around listening to all the gurus where their business doesn't truly apply for your daily business, it's kind of a falsehood. And secondly, you know, in leadership, true leadership builds trust, you know, and you don't have to have a perfect mentor, but you have to have a mentor that you trust is going to give you honest advice.
Yes.
And that takes time to build, you know, not a perfect mentor. I am by far I don't even know if I'm a mentor, but I make friends and my guys know that I'm going to give them truthful, honest advice about where they are in their life because I get to know them personally. And you can only coach somebody that you know personally.
Yeah.
You know, anything else is just, that's why I don't 10X shit and I don't do any of these fucking whatever these people do because because it's not true. At the end of the day, if I have to know who you are and know where you're at, and you know, hey, you know, my wife said this, or hey, my kids are, you know, in this position right now in school, or my mom and dad, and so all those things matter. And that's where true growth comes. That's where true mentorship comes, and helping people transition in those situations, because those are the ones that bring them down.
Yes.
It only takes one situation to start somebody on a downward spiral. You know, they get a flat tire this morning, they were late to work, their wife got mad, they didn't bring home the groceries, and it just, you know, and 6 months down the line, they say, I had a bad 2021.
Right.
And it's because they allow that. So it's those moments where, you know, mentorship kicks in. It's like, hey, bro, listen to me. Look at the big picture one more time. Why'd you come here? Let's look at your goals one more time. Look what you said to me.
Right.
Like 2 weeks ago, you just said this to me. And so I think, you know, you can listen to a lot of people and, you know, the very general things, but you need a mentor. tutto bisogno di un consigliere.
I love that. I love
You have
that.
to, man.
Very true. I think, I mean, I know for a fact mentors in my life, and you could have multiple mentors throughout your life.
100%.
And you could have mentors that are one-on-one, but you could also have mentors from afar, kind of like you with Jim Rohn, right?
Sure.
You know, yeah, the most effective ones, as you said, are the ones that know you and that have that personal time with you. But also, there's so many things that we could learn from the Jim Rohns of the world. These days, there's a bunch of new ones. Like, I'm a big fan of David Goggins. I just got his new book. And so, but it's about constantly learning. It's about doing that personal growth. And some of the most successful people like yourself, they're always growing, man. You're always growing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. For business, we have to, Jim Rohn says, success is something you attract by the person you become.
That's correct.
Right? And I tell people, listen, if you could have the things that you want to be the person you are right now, you'd already have them. Mm-hmm. So you don't have them because you're not the person yet.
Correct.
So why don't we become that person? That's why, see, this podcast for me is I want to give, but part of it is also selfish because I'm learning every time I interview somebody like you, right? I'm getting better. I'm leveling up. And I see like there's already things that you said that I'm like, I'm going to listen to this again and I'm going to take notes because I'm going to apply some of these things to my business, right? And then to finish off, bro, what is some advice you would, because we also have young listeners, right? Teenagers and whatnot, young adults. What advice would you give to your younger self, whether it's a teenager or your young adult self, that you would have done different now?
I don't think I would have done anything different because, again, I'm one of those people that doesn't like to regret anything because they teach you, man. Every mistake teaches you. It teaches you how to get better. You know, you can't move forward without having that void. One thing I do believe that people don't prepare us enough for is the cost. I think school definitely doesn't prepare us for that. Our parents don't prepare us for that. Because they want to coddle us and they think that telling you nice things is going to make you better. But I think I would definitely tell my younger self to count the cost. I mean, the cost in anything. When you count the emotional cost into relationships, into a marriage, into a business, it better prepares you for whatever's coming because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right? But when you count the emotional cost of having people quit on you, having people say things about you, people saying no to your business, people saying no to your product or service, I think counting the emotional cost is so key. Knowing that you're going to feel like shit some days, knowing that some days you're just going to get your ass kicked.
Yep.
And counting that emotional cost up front gives you the understanding that, hey, today was one of those days.
That's right.
And tomorrow you flip the page and keep the book going, and everybody has shitty chapters in their book, man. You just got to flip the page, man, and tomorrow's another day. But you have to go into that understanding that if you don't count the cost in the first sense of tragedy, the first the first disappointment, you quit.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that, thank God I didn't quit. I had some sort of tenacity that kept me going, but I think what would have made it a little bit more smooth was understanding the cost going into all situations.
Got it.
And that's what we have to know. We have to really understand the cost of going into anything, business, entrepreneurship, sales.
Nice.
When you count the cost, you prepare better emotionally.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. That's powerful. And finally, what are I know you've done a lot of studying, bro. I know you've read a lot of books. What are some of the books that were the most impactful in your life?
There's been a lot of them, man. But I think the ones that have made the most impact are, it's funny. People ask this question all the time. It's like an interview question.
It's true. It is.
I think people miss the mark when they read anything that doesn't pertain to them. So people ask me all the time, "Brett, can you recommend me a book?" And I tell them books are supposed to be given to people almost like a pharmacist gives you a prescription.
Yes.
Well, what are you suffering from, right? And people say, "Well, I just don't know how to really communicate with people." And I go, "Okay, how to win friends and influence people." Dale Carnegie, right?
Right.
And so
great book.
Yeah, but somebody has to be suffering from that, or else their mind isn't in a mode to receive the information anyway.
Right.
So books are like prescriptive medicine. So at times when I've been in that moment, then I'll pick up that book and read it. But I think in a general sense, if you read anything about the mind, I think it's gonna set you up better than any specific book about money, the millionaire this, the millionaire that, the 5 keys to this, the 3 keys to that. I just don't believe in that. You know,
so mindset.
Psycho-Cybernetics, great book, changed my life.
Oh, yeah.
Maltz is a guy that, you know, used to do plastic surgery, discovered that people were still feeling like shit after he fixed them.
Yes.
And so he went back to school and became a psychologist. And so he said, this is something deeper than physical. What is it that makes people feel a certain way about themselves? So anything that has to do with the human psyche, I think is you know, in business, service or product, you're going to meet other people. Might as well know about people before you know about the product.
That's true.
And I think that always makes for a great salesperson, that, you know, you understand people, and you know, the product is secondary, but I understand you, and I understand who you are, where you're coming from, and now I can service your need, and I can service you the way you want to be serviced.
That's true.
So
I love that, and I agree. I think that was the first personal development book I read at 18.
No kidding.
How to Win Friends, Influence People.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, How to Win Friends, Influence People. It was the first book at 18, 2001. It was that I was at a training. They said, listen to this. It was a network marketing company. It was Jim Rohn, Building Your Network Marketing Business.
Love that one.
They said, listen to this and only this for the next month. No radio, no nothing, wherever you go.
And for the next year, you're like, the birds,
the
right?
The birds, and some seed falls on good ground. You know. So I listened to that, and they said, how to win. So I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's got like 2 or 3 different highlighters. You know, I use 2 or 3 different highlighters for different things. And till this day, amazing book. So yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Brother, how can people connect with you, brother? How can they find you on social media?
At Gerry Najarro on Instagram, at the Ivri Group, for the Ivri Group company. But I do my podcast at Building People First.
Yep.
Building People First is actually where I put all the concept together on how to build a business. Everything from the incentives to my talks on mindset. So Building People First, you can catch my podcast and listen to us a little bit more.
Love it.
Find our products on Instagram as well, Building People First.
I love it. Yeah. Thanks a lot, my brother. Appreciate that.
Thank you, bro.
This was amazing. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Guys, share this with everybody that you know that wants to level up. I appreciate you guys. My guest, Gerry, I appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you.
And with that being said, I will see you guys at the top or from the top. Take care.